Okay, welcome to Codio Challenge 5.3 Fixed Length Records. In this Codio challenge, they're going to give us a file name, P, a first name, a last name, and a new birthday. Load the fixed length record file in P, search for the first name, the last name, and then change the birthday. Each record is a fixed length of 40 characters. Okay, so over here on the left, you can see that I already populated this with some pseudocode to kind of give people an idea of how I am tackling this challenge. And if you'd like to pause the video, write down these steps and try and take a crack at it yourself, I suggest going ahead and trying to do that. And then when thinking of passing these next few challenges, it is helpful to, write down the steps that you need to take in order to solve these to better have an idea of what you're doing, visualizing the whole code. So let's get started on this. First thing we're going to do is open the file. So let's call our files. Say files equals, and then open P, and we're going to open it in a read only first. So now we've opened the file. Next thing we need to do is read the lines of the file into strings. So let's do that. And we'll call our line record line, and we'll say equals files dot read line. And there's multiple ways of opening up files. You can use the read line, read lines. You can just open up the first characters, the first 40 characters in a line. But for me, I'm just going to use the files.read line and go through each line one at a time. So, okay, next, what we're going to do is declare the variable for the list. So once we open up these files, we're going to read the files, and then we're going to be creating new lines, new records. And so we need to have a place to populate that. So we'll just say new lists equals empty brackets. That's just a placeholder for our new lines that we create. And so the next step here is declare the first and last index position of the variables. And so we already know, because they're telling us right here, each record is a fixed length of 40. So we know the first index location is 0 and the last index location is 40. So let's create those starting points. And these starting points are used to know where to move forward from one line to the next. So we know each line is going to have 40 characters, and it'll also let us choose later on how many characters are we going to classify as the first name, how many characters we're going to classify as the last name, and how many characters for the birth date. And so first things first is let's get the start and end point for each line. So we're going to call it first index equals 0, and last index equals 40, because they've already told us there's 40 in each record. Okay, step 5, record the first 40 characters of the P file into a string variable. Okay, so this is where we're going to create our line variable. And so we're just going to call it current line equals our record line, and it's going to equal the first index location all the way to the last index location. So we're just going to say first index to the last index. Okay, so that's our current line. We've opened the file. We're reading one line. Okay, we've created our empty list to store our records into. We've set our first location in the index at 0, our last location in the index as 40. And so our current line equals first index location to last index. So we know from index location 0 to 40, that's one line. That's our first line. That's our current line. So that's what we're going to use. Okay, next. Okay, on this next step 6, create while loop to pull characters from each line until 0 characters are found. So when you think about this, you're just going to loop through each line, and as long as there's characters there, you're going to keep looping until you reach the point where there are 0 characters found, meaning that's the end of your list, the end of the file. And so you can see I've indented steps 6 through 12 because all parts of this step 6 through 12 are part of a loop. So I'm just going to go down right here and start this while loop and go through each step 6 through 12. So first one, we're doing the while loop to pull the characters from each line until 0 characters are found. So what we're going to do is say while length of current line is not equal to 0. So remember, we're going to keep looping through each line on this P file. We know that 40 characters make up a line, and once we get to the point where there are no characters appearing on the next line, so we're going to keep looping. So while length of current line is not equal to 0, we're just going to keep looping. So let's put the let's back this up and make that right. So the while statement. Okay, now the colon statement, the colon there is the creation of block code, and that's where you're going to do your indentation, not at the start of the while loop, but on the following lines here. So step 6 is done. We've created our while loop. Step 7, create a variable for first name, last name, birthday, and I've divided each of these up into 16 characters for the first name, 16 characters for the last name, 8 characters for the birthday. So let's do that. And we'll just say F name for the first name equals current line 0 through 16 because we're using the first 16 characters. Last name equals 16 through 32 because we're making the last name the next 16 characters. And I guess it would help if I said where those were coming from, so let's get that in there. Okay. And birthday equals (32 to 40). Okay, so we've done step 7, created the variable for the first name, last name, and birth date, and we've positioned those in the first 16 characters for the first name, the next 16 characters for the last name, and the final 8 characters being for the birthday. Okay, next it says search through created list if name and last name match birthday. Birthday equals B. So now we're going to create our if, and we're going to also use the and, because we need to match the first name and the last name. So let's do that. If first name, and now we're going to use the dot strip to eliminate all the empty space after the name. So we're going to say if the first name is equal to F, which is the first name that they're providing us, F, you can see here, first name F. So here what we're doing is we're searching through the list, and if the first name and last name match, the birthday is going to equal B. So we've already got the first name there. So if the first name equals F, and last name, or again, we're going to strip any of the empty space that follows. So if the last name is equal to L, so if first name is equal to F and last name is equal to L, then birthday is going to be assigned B. So if they're saying the first name and last name match, give them the new birthday. Here we're saying if the first name is equal to F, their first name, and if the last name is equal to L, their last name, assign the birthday to B. Okay, next is we're going to store the newly created match into a new string variable. So let's do that. We're going to say result equals first name and concatenate last name and concatenate birthday. So the result equals first name plus last name plus birthday. Now next it says append the new result to the declared new list. So now that we have that result, we need to add that result to our new list. So we're going to do that. And we're going to use the append to add it to our list. So we're going to say dot append and pass in the result. So we've created a new string, and now we're passing that into our new list. Next, update first and last index positions. Okay, so we've done all this, going through the first line, which is 0 to 40. And so to get to the next line, we need to add 40 more characters. So we need to update the first and last index positions by adding 40 character locations to them. So let's do that. So let's say first index and we've just added 40 spots to the first index location, and we'll do the same thing for the last index location. And this is just moving us on to the next line, which we know 40 characters is equal to the next line. Now I just want to add this first index plus equal 40 is the same as saying first index equals first index plus 40, but instead of writing all this out, we just put plus equal 40. It's the same. So you could put first index plus equal 40, or you could write all this out, first index equals first index plus 40. It's just better to use the plus equal. Okay, so we've moved to the next line by adding 40 characters, and store the next 40 characters of file P into a new line variable. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is move to the next line. So to do that, we're just going to say current line. See, the first current line is 0 to 40. Okay, now we've added 40 to our index locations to move to the next line. So now we're just doing the same thing. We're going to just say current line equals record line and we're just doing the same thing. First index, last index, and so we just move to the next line. Okay, so all of this is part of the while loop from here down to here, and it'll just keep going through each line in the P file and adding 40 characters to go on to the next line. It'll keep doing that until the current line is equal to 0 characters. Okay, so now we will close this file. So remember, when you open a file, you always have to close the file. And we opened it in a read-only fashion, and now we're going to open it in a write form. So let's do that. We're going to reopen the file in a write file method. And W is the write file. So that's what we're going to do. So we opened it up. And now that we've opened it up in a write mode, we can write the items in our list to the file. So let's do that. We're going to just say for item in new list, files dot write item. And so now we've written the files that we've created in our new list back to file P. And then the last thing we do is close the files. And so we say files dot close, and there you go. So that's how you do this. So let's check it. And everything passed. Well done. And if you have any questions about this, feel free to email me. If you have any comments, feel free to comment. And as always, please subscribe. I appreciate it when people subscribe and like the videos. Thank you very much.